You're watching Pulse for the 18th of March, and it is once again time for some StarCraft news. In this week's episode, we take a look at the latest StarCraft II Developer update with Dustin Browder, this one focusing on patch 1.5, the GSL maps chosen for Season 7's ladder map pool, the usual GSL updates, some talk on the Red Bull Workshop and Lone Star Clash, a few proposed design changes to StarCraft II's replay and match history interface, the launch of the Razer Academy, and more. Let's get straight to the news. First up, as I mentioned, a new StarCraft II Developer update has been posted, and this one came straight from game director Dustin Browder. The post's purpose is to help Blizzard communicate their intent for the various features that they're currently working on. We've been told that they have a number of updates and changes coming soon to StarCraft II Wings of Liberty, and they wanted to share some of them with us. Now, I did say StarCraft II Wings of Liberty, not Heart of the Swarm, so it seems like we're going to be seeing some pretty big changes come in before the launch of the next expansion, and I'm very excited for that. Back to this post though, Dustin says that the upcoming 1.5 patch will be their most feature-laden patch to date. This patch represents the first steps towards the release of their first expansion, Heart of the Swarm, and will include numerous upgrades and fixes throughout the game. One of the most significant additions will be the new arcade feature, which is covered in pretty great detail in this post. That and Blizzard's plans to try and cure the ghost town effect currently ailing Battle.net 2.0. That's no doubt going to be quite a challenge, but patch 1.5 will also include significant improvements throughout the overall user interface. It's going to add streaming support, which I'm incredibly excited for, and they didn't discuss that fully here, so we don't know that much about it yet, but I will tell you that that is probably the one thing that piqued the most people's interest. Then other features are anti-aliasing, editor and modding upgrades, new art tools, and more. It seems like they will be going into further details about these new features in future developer updates. I'm assuming they'll also be coming out before the patch does. As I mentioned though, the main focus in this post was definitely on the arcade and custom game creation tools that we actually first saw at BlizzCon 2011, and on improving the contact and communication aspects of StarCraft II and Battle.net 2.0. So if you are keen to read all about what Dustin Browder has to say about those topics, then you'd better check this one out, and let me know what you think about streaming support. I'm really keen to hear more about that and to hear how they're actually going to integrate that into StarCraft II. Read all about it below or over at the official StarCraft II community sites, and with that done, let's move on to the next piece of news. As you may well remember, we were recently invited to help choose 2 GSL maps to be included in the Season 7 ladder map pool. Well, we have the results, and the winners were Daybreak and Metropolis. In addition to that, Ohana, the community-created map by Ironman SC and Team ESV, will also be joining the map pool. So now not only will Daybreak, Metropolis, and Ohana be joining the map pool, but Blizzard are also experimenting with expanding the overall size of the pool from 8 maps to 10 maps in Season 7. Even though the map pool is growing larger, I'm saddened to say that one of the old maps must still go. So we have to vote yet again, and this time on which map should be removed from the ladder map pool for Season 7. The choices are as follows: Cloud Kingdom, Coral Compound, Antigua Shipyard, Entombed Valley, Metalopolis, Shakura's Plateau, Tal'Darim Altar, and lastly the Shattered Temple. So if you had to choose one of these to be removed, which would it be? I would have a pretty tough time choosing, but I'd say I'd probably want Entombed Valley removed. Either that or Coral Compound. For some reason I never really got into those 2 maps myself. But hey, so far it seems like Shattered Temple is up for removal. It's got a staggering 25% of the vote so far. On the EU side at least. I'm sure things are looking even worse on the US side. It seems like people are finally getting sick of the old Lost Temple style maps. Are you one of those people? If so, let me know below, and if you want to see this post for yourself and cast your vote if you haven't already, you can do so over at the official StarCraft II community sites or in the description below this video. Now we're going to move on to the GSL updates, and this week we're mostly just having a look at the up and down match results. If you are interested in even more GSL action, then you can read about the 2012 GSL Team League Season 1 below as well. They're still in group play at the moment, but there's always a lot of action in the GSTL. Well worth having a look at. But now, back to the up and down matches. As you can see on your screens right now, all the group play has been completed, and this was actually done from March the 12th till the 16th. In Group A, the 2 top players were Squirtle and Boong Boong. Group B saw Lenok and Inca at the top. Group C, Maru and the STC. Group D, Virus and Finn. And lastly in Group E, July and Supernova took the top spots. Needless to say, all these players played incredibly well, and in my opinion, the up and down matches are usually the best or most exciting to watch. It just feels like there's a lot more on the line here. Anyway, you can see the 2012 GSL Season 2 promotion and demotion overview on your screens right now, and be sure to let me know what happened with your favorite player. I would say that most people are, as always, rooting for Huck, and it's good to see him back in there and fighting yet again. Again, read all about that below, and now let's move on to the next two pieces of news. First up, we're going to talk about the Red Bull Workshop with Day 9 TV. Now, if you didn't know, rumor has it that Red Bull intends to host 5 intensive StarCraft II training events this year, and the first happened this very weekend in Orlando. The event is an open StarCraft II workshop with a live audience and a tournament full of familiar names flying in to act as training partners. It is all very exciting, and I will just say that anything that Day 9 has any part of is definitely worth paying attention to. This entire event works very differently from what we've seen before. 4 StarCraft II invitees are the focus players of the event. The LAN will explore their personalities, their personal stories, their strengths and weaknesses, and how they're planning on improving their StarCraft II. It's an incredibly interesting concept, and if you're wondering, the focus 4 are Liquid Chef, Liquid Ret, Mouse Sports Thorzane, and Mouse Sports Hasu Obs. Some very impressive players. But that's definitely not all. There are a bunch of other really good players there, and did I mention Day 9? Yes, I think I did. He has been streaming all weekend long with DJ Wheat, and it has been great fun to watch. So if you are interested in results, want some recaps from the first 2 days, or want to catch that stream live for the last day, then you can find all of that and read more about all of it below. Next up, let's talk about the Lone Star Clash, the Gauntlet of Champions. In 2 concurrent events, the Texas Esports Association, Quantic Gaming, and the Cybersports Network are awarding $10,000 to a field of pros and $1,500 to a field of collegiate competitors in the Lone Star Clash. That does sound quite good, and you'll see StarCraft II pros such as Pult, Select, Empire's Violet, Stefano, The Muslim, Destiny, and many others battle it out for the title here. Or the money, I suppose. That's pretty important for them too. This event is taking place, or perhaps depending on when this video actually goes up, took place at the University of Texas. And the shoutcasting at the event, if you're wondering about that, was mostly done by Mr. Bitter and Rotterdam, but there are a couple of other really good casters out there too. So if you want to read more about this, Team Liquid obviously have a post up covering everything you need to know. They have live updated brackets, links to the stream, and everything else. Now let's move on to the community news and discuss this video that's been receiving quite a lot of attention from StarCraft fans. This covers some proposed design changes to StarCraft II's replay and match history interface, and it was all put together by Andrew N. Price right here on YouTube. The video was actually set up as part of his application to Blizzard Entertainment for the position of user interface artist for StarCraft II and Blizzard Dota. It's designed to show some of the changes that he would make to StarCraft II's existing interface, and was apparently put together over a 5-day period. Now I have to say that personally I think this is incredibly creative. Some of the changes that he covered here or mentioned in the video should really have been in StarCraft II already. I'm not sure how we've been living without them for this long. He does also just mention that this is not intended to show the quality of the final work or what it would look like if it was actually completed, but just give us as viewers an idea of what he'd like to do to the user interface if he was hired by Blizzard. And honestly, after seeing this video, I don't see why someone like that hasn't already got a job doing something like this. Anyway, regardless of that, the video is super impressive, and it does show off a bunch of features that I think would definitely get StarCraft players' mouths watering. You can watch it right here on YouTube, and with that done, let's move on to the last piece of community news that we're going to be covering before heading into the smalls. Here we have the birth of the Razer Academy, an all-new competitive gaming learning platform. Razer has launched its all-new esports and pro gaming educational platform, driven by some of the world's most popular esports personalities. Popular is definitely the word I'd use. Some of the big names in here include Athene, Toby1 Kenobi, Mr. Bitter, Swifty, Seltzer, Rotterdam, Cypher, and many others. Now sure, all these guys aren't StarCraft II commentators, but that's actually the beauty of it. They're covering so many games here, and the nice thing is that they're being covered in ways that pretty much everyone would appreciate. So whether your passion lies in StarCraft II or League of Legends, Dota 2 or World of Warcraft, these guys have you covered. I must say that sadly they haven't been receiving as much attention as I would have hoped they'd receive, but if you want to give them a bit more attention and show them that the work that they're doing right now is actually appreciated, then you can head on over to the Razer YouTube channel and check all the videos out from those big names right now. With that done, let's move on to the tournament and event smalls. First up, MC won the IEM Season 6 World Championship, and you can read how below. Mike Moore mentioned that the StarCraft II Pro League will open this year. You can read some MLG Winter Championship updates. You can read how the guys at MLG raised $11.3 million in additional funding. Then read about the $5,000 32-man One Nation of Gamers tournament happening on March the 27th. There's a €13,000 prize pool at the Gathering 2012. The next Fnatic Raid Call Invitational has been announced. And lastly, the GD Studio Pilot Show is on today, March the 18th, and there are a couple of interesting show matches happening there. Then first up in the community smalls, want a shot at naming a territory in the upcoming Risk StarCraft board game? If you're the lucky winner of the USopolis sweepstakes, then you'll get the opportunity to do just that. Check out the latest Art of War post, When to GG. Have a look at Team Liquid's What is Most Esports bracket. Some pretty interesting results there so far. Gunzi and Tasia have left Slayers. Apparently Slayers is set to hold a team draft soon. Spades has joined Western Wolves. Infinity 7 has signed Axlav. Czech has very sadly retired from pro gaming. You can have a look at a Doha interview over at Polarfluke. Then a couple of very interesting posts over at Team Liquid. The breadth of gameplay in StarCraft 2 and the Korean commentator team part 1. You can read how Orb was dismissed from Evil Genius's broadcasts after last week's shenanigans. Then he was also featured on State of the Game to explain his side of the story. Slayers, Dignitas and Mouse are apparently going to be making mousepads with Razer soon. Team Slayers played a bit of dress up recently, and lastly, Husky has started playing some retro games in the form of Doom 2 and Warcraft 1. Have a look at that right here on YouTube. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the StarCraft news this week. Remember to check the description below this video for everything that I spoke about. Check back here soon for more. Like the video and do all that other good stuff, and most importantly, happy StarCrafting.